Hello students, myself Mallesh, lecturer Mechanical Engineering, Department of Collegiate and Technical Education. Today I am going to present steam boilers unit 2 in Applied Thermal Engineering for 5th semester Mechanical Engineering diploma students. Steam boilers. So this is session 4. In earlier session, I have explained various boiler. Those are Lancashire boiler, construction and working, and advantages and disadvantages of a Lancashire boiler, locomotive boiler, construction and working, and advantages and disadvantages of a locomotive boiler. So I hope all are gone through some the books what I explained in my slides to know detailedly, and I hope we don't have any questions arise while studying those books. So let's move on next concept. So this is the session 4 content. So today I am going to explain and I am going to teach some of the high pressure boilers. So those are Lomond boilers and Benson boilers. So let's move on to the next slide. We'll explain one by one individually. So students, let us think about what is high pressure and what is low pressure. So in previous sessions I have explained what is low pressure and what is high pressure. So we can classify the boiler based upon the pressure range also. So the pressure range is below 85 bar or below 20, the pressure, the boilers are operating around from 10 bar, 20 bar, 15 bar, below 20 bar we can call as high pressure, low pressure boilers. So here the boiler will operate or generate steam at high pressure, that is more than 85 bar and above is called high pressure boiler. So normally these high pressure boilers are used in the power plants, whether it may be a steam power plant or it may be a nuclear power plant, anything. So depend upon the pressure range or depend upon the application, so we are using the high pressure boilers. So now move on to the next point. The modern high pressure boilers are used for power generation having capacity of 400 to 1600 tons per hour of superheated steam with a pressure up to 165 bar and a temperature of about 540 degrees centigrade. So these are the boilers having operating capacity of pressure more than 165 bar and temperature of 540 degrees centigrade. So these boilers produce steam at 400 to 1600 tons per hour. These are the main criteria of the high pressure boilers. So these boilers are used in power plant for the production of power with high range. Suppose say in terms of megawatts, that is 210 megawatts, 500 megawatts, like that. So for that purpose we can call this as a high pressure boiler. Next, third point, water tube boilers are generally preferred for high pressure and high output. Let's take a ballpoint. So here you just see from the boiler pressure is more than 85 bar, then we can call as a high pressure boiler, as well as the capacity of 400 to 1600 tons per hour of superheated steam with a pressure up to 165 bar and temperature about 540 degrees centigrade. So again, these high pressure boilers are only a water tube boiler, preferred for high pressure and high output. So here the fire tube boilers are not going to exist because those are limited pressure boilers. So while though the water tube boilers are high pressure boilers, because here the steam producing capacity is more and the pressure and the temperature will be more. For that reason we can use only water tube boiler as a high pressure boiler. Student, let's take a glance at a small video how the high pressure boilers in the steam power plants are operated. Let's take a glance with this video. You can get some idea from this video.
Today's boilers, as they have been since their origin, involve the complex production and manipulation of steam.
The forced draft fan blows air into the system. A portion is routed to the pulverizers, which crush coal into a fine dust before pushing the mixture up through feeder tubes. The other portion...
See, this is the boiler with a high pressure boiler having a water tubes, a number of water tubes. So this boiler with a combustion chamber, you see various coal coal combustion, pulverized coal is burning inside. So see the water, how the water tubes are installed to get high pressure with high temperature. Let's take a
It
video.
passes through an air preheater, which transfers heat from the exhaust gases to the incoming air, raising the air temperature, reducing moisture, and producing a cleaner burn. The hot forced air and coal dust converge in the wind box, where the mixture is blown out through burners and ignited inside the firebox, transferring radiant heat to the water-filled tubes. The hot gases flow upward, heating the rest of the system through convection, before passing through the air preheater and ultimately flow into the scrubber, where pollutants are removed. Liquid water is pumped into the system at the economizer. Gradually, it's heated to base temperature before gathering at the steam drum, the system's main distribution hub for circulating water and steam through the boiler. Liquid water flows through large dampcomers and into the base of the firebox. A network of 2-inch tubes line the firebox walls, and burners force feed a continuous supply of combustible fuel into the ultra-hot firebox. Eventually, the insides of the firebox burn so hot that its surrounding steel walls would melt if not for the tube-lined walls of liquid water. At the point in the cycle when the liquid water turns to steam, the steam separates and collects at the top of the steam drum. Because this saturated steam still contains small amounts of liquid water that would cause corrosive damage to the turbine, the saturated steam is routed back into the firebox and through superheats to burn off all but the smallest traces of liquid water. This dry, superheated steam then exits the boiler, passing through a steam locker and ultimately providing power to the spinning turbine, which generates electricity. Finally, exhaust steam, now at a lower temperature and pressure, is sent back to the boiler through a dedicated reheat stage. This reusable steam is brought back up to operating temperature before returning to the turbine, providing additional power through a secondary stage.
I hope this video is very much helpful for to understand the better way how the modern high pressure boilers are operated in the thermal power plants. Let's take a glance at this video once again. I will just explain you. So these
Today's
are the various
boilers.
contents. So see here all the superheater, all the preheater, and the air preheater, economizer or patent superheater, all are mounted inside to get high pressure. So here each and every section will operate to get the high efficiency of the boiler. So let's move on. Let's move on to the next slide to explain what are the features of a high pressure boiler. So the high pressure boilers having the best method of circulation of water and steam. So that is the main feature of the high pressure boiler. So what are the methods? So here we are using forced circulation. Let's take here using forced circulation is employed. Forced circulation is caused by the centrifugal firm. So due to forced circulation, we can accept the water. We can accept the water has expect the water has water and steam with a better circulation. So as compared to the natural circulation, we will get more efficiency in the means of increasing combustion as well as the inlet and the outlet. The whatever the inlet we are getting from the coal, the combustion will occur successfully, and then the flue gas will flows out to the chimney. So for the purpose we are using circulation. That is a one method here. So for forced circulation, for feed pump we are using for the water. For steam we are using forced FD fans. The second one is the arrangement of drum. So how the drum is arranged, the main features and tubing. So here the size of the water drum is very small. So compared to other boilers or 5 tube boilers, here the drum size is very small. So here water flowing through the pipe circuit is evaporated and converts into steam continuously. Here we have a separator. Number of separators are provided inside the boiler. As seen in a previous video, we have a steam drum. So where one part the water the feed water coming from the economizer will flows, then the water will flows down to the downcomer. Again when the water is converted into steam, again flows back to the steam turbine, steam drum. There is also water steam separator that will separate the steam from the moisture content. Again the separated saturated steam will again goes down to the downcomer. Similar way the drum is very much helpful to determine the high pressure boiler. So and also tubing also there. So there is a huge number of tubings. Only tubing are provided for the sufficient transformation of a heat from furnace to the tubing, furnace to the inside the water. So for that purpose, the arrangement of the tube and tubing, drum and tubing is very much small, as well as it will allow the steam to flows continuously. Third one is improved method of heating. So here the method of heating is improved. How? We are using some superheater, economizer and air preheater. These are the accessories we are using to increase the efficiency of the boiler. For that purpose, the efficiency will increase and the pressure will also increase. We are able to reach the pressure up to 165 bar, as well as the temperature more than 540 degrees centigrade, because of we are providing some superheater devices as well as economizer devices and air preheater devices. So secondly, increase the heat flow through the tubes by heating hot gases traveling with a supersonic speed. So here see the heat flow through the tubes by the heating hot gases will travel at supersonic speed. So more than sound speed it will flow for a flue gas. Therefore the transfer of heat from the furnace, from the flue gases to the surrounding tube will be possible with a short fan of time. So with this speed we can achieve the more heat transfer ratio. For that purpose, this is the one method of heating is also one future. And thirdly, saving latent heat by evaporation above the critical pressure. So this point shows latent heat by evaporation above critical pressure. Here we are operating the pressure more than critical pressure, that is 220 bar, 225 bar above the pressure we are going to operating. For that purpose we can utilizing the heat, by utilizing the heat proper way to get the pressure with high pressure we can achieve. For that purpose, this is the point, saving the latent heat by increasing the critical pressure. These are the main features of the high pressure boiler. So let's take a note on how advantages of these high pressure boilers. So these high pressure boilers have a efficiency and capacity of the plant be increased. So while using this high pressure boiler, it will be more efficient and more capacity. And so for that purpose only, for limited application we may not use this high pressure boiler, because if you use for small application it will be huge loss. So for that purpose, for higher application, let's take for a high rate of power generation, then we are using high pressure boiler. So earlier we have a low pressure boiler with the capacity of 220 megawatts, but nowadays we are using critical boiler, that is more critical pressure boiler, that is more than 225 bar. So those pressure will eliminate the drum. For that purpose, in that case we have to achieve 500 megawatts, 800 megawatts. So more than that we can achieve in power production. So secondly, the forced circulation of the water provides freedom in design of furnace and tubing, and tendency of the scale forming is reduced. So here we are using forced circulation of the water. So therefore here there is no formation of scale inside the tube is occur, because the circulation of water take place under forced conditions. For that purpose there is no tendency of scaling formation is in the tube is occurred. Therefore this one is reduced. Third one, pots are uniformly heated, which prevents the danger of overheating. So here all the pots are occupied in a same distance with the same manner, and it's constructed uniformly. There is no uneven constructions occur here. So for that purpose, the overheating of the tubes are reduced, because suppose if the uneven design is occurred or uneven design is given, so the distance between the tubes are given in by one tube to another tube, and third tube it will be elongated, then there is a possibility of overheating. So to minimize those things, we have a very good design of and uniform placement of the tubes are possible. For that purpose, we will reduce the overheating concept. So again, it's a lighter for a given output, can meet a rapid fluctuation of a load without additional control of device. So you can able to manage the fluctuation of load without additional control device. This boiler should not require any devices without adding any extra agencies to increase the load factor, but by itself using, we have to meet the fluctuation demand in throughout the year or any time. So suppose the load factor will vary some day to day, so it will meet the fluctuations. So one day the load factor will minimize, that time also we can reduce the load. Again, the one in certain day the load factor is required more, then also we have to increase the load. So we can manipulate both the concept. So for that purpose, so here there is no any extra agencies or devices not required. This is the advantages. So we have a two disadvantages of this boiler. What are those? Water should be free from dissolved solids. So this is the major problem in high pressure boiler. If the water is not treated properly, if the pH solution is more, the water contaminates, some silica, oxides, etc. are contained in the water, maybe erode the tubes. So further, the only disadvantages, so it free from dissolved solid, because if in the water availability in abundant is in it will be contains more solids, it is contaminated. So we have to treat the water in huge quantity. So for that purpose, the water treatment is very important while operating the high pressure boilers. So again, require high sensitivity controls. So this is a very high sensitivity devices. So we have to maintain the pressure and temperature constantly. If you use good quality pressure, good quality fuel, then pressure will be increased. Simultaneously, temperature also increase. So within the span of time, the pressure will be get high. So we have to take care of these boiler and to operate very sensitively to minimize those pressure and temperature. So we have to keep an eye on operating this high pressure boiler, or else it will leads to high explosion. Explosion is possible. So for that purpose, we have to operate this boiler with minimum sensitivity control. That is the one main disadvantage of this boiler. So let's take this is a Lomond boiler. This is the one type of a high pressure boiler. So before explaining this Lomond boiler, I will just go through one video. I will show you one video. Just you take a glance at that video, and you know you will came to know some points about that Lomond boiler. Then I will explain in future slides.
Today we will discuss Lamont boiler. Lamont boiler is a type of forced circulation high pressure water tube boiler. Walter Douglas Lamont introduced the concept of this forced circulation boiler in the year 1925, and Lamont was a Navy lieutenant commander and an engineer in the US Marine as well as a patriot. And now what is the principle of Lamont boiler? The circulation of water and steam mixture takes with the help of an external pump which supplies water at higher pressure than in a natural circulation boiler. Now we will discuss the main components of the Lamont boiler. And this is the combustion chamber. Generally the furnace in Lamont boiler is vertical, and the main function of furnace is to burn the fuel. And this is the feed pump that is used to supply the water to the economizer, and economizer used to preheat the water by using remaining heat of the combustion gases, and generally economizer increase the boiler efficiency. And this is the steam separating drum. From economizer, water is coming to the steam separating drum, and after here is the mixture of steam and water, and water is goes out to the circulating pump, and it is a centrifugal pump. Generally water is circulated with the help of centrifugal pump, and forced convection is generated, and this centrifugal pump is used to circulate water inside the boiler, and this pump is driven by steam turbine, and steam for the turbine is taken by the boiler. And this is the distributing header. With the help of distributing header, water is supplied to the evaporator tubes or water tubes, and these evaporator tubes, these are connected with the steam separating drum. And this is the superheater that is generally used to convert the saturated steam into superheated steam. Otherwise, with saturated steam, that cause the corrosion. So that's why these are converted into superheated. So this is a blower that is connected with air preheater, and the main function of air preheater to preheat the air before entering into the furnace, and from air preheater this is goes to the combustion chamber. And here we can see the direction of the water that is coming out from the feed pump to the economizer, and from economizer it goes to the steam separating drum, and from steam separating drum the saturated steam goes toward the superheater, and water is coming towards the centrifugal pump, and from centrifugal pump this is supplied to the evaporator tubes, and from evaporator tubes this is goes toward steam separating drum. And these are the exhaust gases. And now we discuss the working of the Lamont boiler. Lamont boiler, as we know, it is a forced circulation and internally fired water tube boiler. The fuel is burned inside the boiler and water is circulating with the help of centrifugal pump. So here feed pump forces the water. Here feed pump forces the water into the economizer, which can be seen with the help of blue arrows, where temperature of water increases and this water forced into the evaporator tube. So here we can see feed pump supplies the water to the economizer, and from economizer it goes into the steam separating drum, and from in steam separating drum here is the mixture of steam and water, and from here water is transferred to the centrifugal pump, and from this centrifugal pump with the help of distributing head, here is the water, and we can say it is a combustion chamber. So here is the mixture of water plus steam is here, and goes towards the steam separating drum. So this mixture, this is the mixture of.
Dear students, let's take a glance. This is a Lamont boiler. Before I actually go into the picture, I will explain here only. You see here, this boiler contains various parts. Those are, let's take a feed pump. We have a steam drum. We have a circulating pump. This is the combustion chamber. This is the radiant evaporator, and this is the this is a convective evaporator. This is the economizer as well as air preheater. So these are the main parts of this boiler. So here initially, let's take a glance onto this boiler. So let's take here the water. The feed water comes from the source that will flows here from feed water source the feed to the economizer. This is the economizer. So here the economizer will preheat the water. So how it will preheat? So while combustion occurs, the flue gas will flows upward direction. So when the flue gas will passes through the economizer, the heat from the flue gas will supply to the economizer containing water. That water will get preheated with certain degree, approximately more than 100 degrees centigrade. The water will be heated here. So these preheated water will supply to the drum. So here in the drum the water will flows down, so that water will comes down to the downcomer with the help of circulating pump. So this circulating pump, the water comes down the downcomer, will flows to the combustion chamber. So from the combustion chamber it will flows to the flows to the evaporator. This is you can call as a convective evaporator, and this is called as a radiant evaporator. So once the circulating pump circulate the water to the combustion chamber, so this combustion chamber having fire grade, so their actual combustion will occur. The fuel will supply from the fuel door, so there is actual combustion will occur. Due to combustion, the heat from the combustion gases will supply to the will transfer to the tube, inside tube, that is evaporative tube as well as evaporator tube. That is one is, this is a radiant evaporator, this is the convective evaporator. So those things are heat is transferred to this tube, then the water contained in the tube will be converted into steam with a saturated steam that will flows to again to the drum, where here the separation will occur. So here the moisture contained in the steam will be comes down, they are separated, and the dry steam will flows to the superheater. This is the superheater zone. So this is the superheater zone. Here the superheater, where also the superheater also increase the temperature of the steam with constant pressure. By the application of combustion gases will flows upward. So from that heat will be transferred to the superheated tube. Then the tube containing superheated steam, saturated dry steam, that will converted into superheated steam. So those converted superheated steam will flows to the main steam, where for turbine applications. So here you see the blow air is provided for the preheating of the air. So this is called air preheater. How it will preheat? So similar way, the flue gases flows upward containing heat. That heat will transfer to the rotating air preheater. The air coming from the blow air fan, that will be gets heated. So those preheated air will be supplied to the, so see here this line supplies to the this is the preheated line, supplied for the combustion purpose. So this is how the Lomond boiler will work. So here the major concept, this is distributor head. The distribution head means it will distributing the water coming from the drum, again it supplies to the radiant evaporator. So this is the downcomer, and the feed pump. This is the overall construction and working features of a Lomond boiler. Let's take a theory about this Lomond boiler. So this contains centrifugal pump, delivers water to the headers at a pressure of 2.5 bar above the drum pressure. So the pump delivers the water headers at a pressure 2.5 by above drum pressure. So that is the one cause to circulate the flow, or else it won't circulate. For that purpose, their pump is increasing the pressure of the water more than 2.5 bar. So the distribution headers distribute the water throughout the nozzle into the evaporator. The convective superheater draws the wet steam from the drum and heats the steam for its superheating purpose. The Lomond boiler generates approximately 50 tons per hour at a pressure of 130 bar and temperature of 500 degrees centigrade. So this is the high pressure boiler, will operate approximately 50 tons per hour and pressure of 130 bar and temperature of 500 degrees centigrade. So, and it is a high pressure and it's a drumless water tube boiler. So this is about Lomond boiler. So next move on to the Bunsen boiler. So before getting to the Bunsen boiler, dear students, I have given some small video. Please watch this video. You will have some idea while watching this video.
Today we will learn about Bunsen boiler, and it is also known as supercritical steam generator. So firstly we know why it is called Bunsen boiler. It is invented by Mark Bunsen in 1927, and it is the first modern high pressure drumless boiler that is developed by Mark Bunsen and was put into operation in 1927 in West Germany power station. So Bunsen boiler, it is a water tube boiler, and presence of steam bubbles in contact with the surface of tubes seriously impairs heat transmission from the flue gases to water. So by rising the boiler pressure to the critical pressure of steam, so this difficulty is overcome as suggested by Mark Benson. At the critical pressure, water and steam have the same density. As we know, at critical pressure, water and steam have same density and no bubbles are formed. And now we discuss the main components of the Benson boiler and the principle on which Benson boiler works. It is the combustion chamber that is used in Benson boiler, and firstly I discuss the main principle of Benson boiler. The Benson boiler is a water tube boiler and it works on the basic principle of critical pressure of water. The critical pressure is the pressure at which the liquid and gas phase are at equilibrium. The water enters in the boiler. This is the feed pump with which water is entered in the boiler, that is at just above the critical pressure. So it suddenly converts into steam without generating the air bubbles, and in this Benson boiler no air water separator drum is required, and it also takes less fuel to generate the steam, and this is the basic principle of Benson boiler. So now one by one we discuss the main components of the Benson boiler, and it is the feed pump. So Benson boiler, it has the forced pumped water tube boiler, and the water is enter into the boiler at critical pressure, and this feed pump is used to pump the water into the boiler. And it is the economizer. The feed water by means of feed pump is circulated through the economizer tubes, and hot flue gases pass over the economizer tubes, and the feed water is preheated. As this is the combustion chamber, here burning of the fuel coal takes place and flue gases generated here which are passing through the economizer, and economizer tube has the water, and this water is preheated before using into the process. So as water from the feed pump enters into the tube which first passes from the economizer, and second component is the radiant evaporator. The feed water from the economizer that flows into the radiant evaporator with radiant parallel tube section. The radiant evaporator receives the heat from the burning fuel through radiation process, and majority of the water is converted into steam in radiant evaporator, and this section is near to the combustion chamber. Second is the convective evaporator or convection evaporator. The remaining water is evaporated in the convection evaporator, absorbing the heat from the hot gases by convection. So convection is used to transfer the heat from the flue gases to the water, and the water is completely evaporate in this chamber, and it is the superheater or convective superheater. This is the last chamber of the boiler. The saturated steam passes from this chamber which increase the temperature of saturated steam, and this superheated steam at about 650 degrees Celsius taken out from the taken out for the industrial work. So here we can see radiant evaporator, convective superheater, convective evaporator and economizer. These are all arranged in the path of the flue gases, because here is the combustion chamber and flue gases flow from bottom to top. And steam outlet from superheater, here is the superheated steam to prime mover. So superheated steam is supplied to the steam turbine through the steam outlet, and the capacity of the Benson boiler is about 150 tons per hour at a pressure of 210 kgf per square centimeter at a temperature of 650 degree Celsius. Next is, this is the blower that is used for supplying the air from the atmosphere to the boiler, and this is air preheater. The main function of the air preheater is used to preheat the air with the help of the flue gases before entering into the combustion chamber, and from air preheater, hot air, these are supplied to the combustion chamber. So it increases the efficiency of the boiler. And finally, now we can see the arrow. With the help of arrow we can define the working of the Benson boiler. The water is pumped at about critical pressure into the boiler tubes. Then water first passes through the economizer, which increases the temperature of the water, and this hot water further passes from the radiant evaporator, where water is evaporated by radiant heat transfer. So after that, water and steam passes through the convective evaporator. When water is completely converted into steam, the water pressure is critical pressure, so the water convert into steam directly without actual boiling, and the steam is further heat up, and this superheated high pressure steam is taken out to rotate the turbine, and these are the exhaust gases which are supplied to the atmosphere. And now we can see the working of this boiler. As feed pump starts to rotate, and here is the water is flowing through economizer, and it is get heated with the help of the heat from the flue gases, and then it is supplied to the radiant evaporator, then convective evaporator, and then superheater, and from superheated steam that is supplied to the prime mover. And as we can see, the cold air starts to enter to the boiler, and with the help of boiler, air is supplied through the air preheater, and their air is preheated with the help of the flue gases, and then hot air that is supplied to the combustion chamber. So the Benson boiler has some advantages also, as in this boiler no drum is used, so total weight of the Benson boiler is 20% less than other boiler. So this also reduces the cost of the boiler, and it is economical and have higher efficiency. And this boiler can start very easily and can reach its maximum load capacity within 10 minutes. So circulating pump and downcomers are dispensed with. So today we have discussed about Benson boiler, the main components of the Benson boiler, principle of the Benson boiler, and working of Benson boiler. Subscribe to get more.
Students, you have watched the video. It's a very good video, and they showed how the path the steam will flows, and how the water flows, and the air will supplied. So let's take a glance at the actual diagram of a Benson boiler. So these are the boilers are critical pressure boiler. So that it will be operated more than 225 bar pressure. So therefore here there is no drum is provided. So only one difference here from a Benson boiler to Longmont boiler is there is a Longmont boiler having the having a drum, but here in this one there is no drum contained. So let's take a glance how it is work. So already we know that we have a feed pump here. So from the feed pump, water will supply to the economizer. From economizer, the water flows to the radiant superheater or radiant surfaces, that is water cooled surfaces. So this is above the furnace. So here the actual combustion will occur. So due to combustion, the flue gas will flows upward. So in the flue gas having some amount of heat that will be transferred to the radiant superheater. We can call this a radiant superheater. From the radiant superheater, the water, preheated water from the economizer will convert it into the saturated steam. Thus saturated steam again flows to the evaporative superheater. There it will be converted into superheat with a minimum pressure and temperature, and afterwards it will flow to throttling valve. From throttling valve again it will send to the convective superheater. Here the pressure and the temperature will be more than 220 bar as well as 540 degrees centigrade. So once the final superheated steam will be flows to the steam outlet. So for the external agency, this is the excuse me, this is how the water from the economizer will convert it into superheat and it will flows outside. So this is one basic working of this Benson boiler. So here air is required for the combustion process. So for that purpose we are using air preheater. See, this is air preheater. In air preheater we have a fan. The fan supplying air to the preheater. So there the preheater will receive the heat from the supplying movement of the flue gases upward. So those flue gases will transfer the heat to the air while in the path. So for in that purpose the air preheater preheat the air, and the preheated air will supply to the combustion chamber for the combustion purpose. So and also that will lift the flue gases, and it will lift the flue gas upwards and flows to the chimney and goes out of the atmosphere. So this is how Benson boiler will working. Let's take a glance. So Benson boiler, how it works. So it enters the evaporator and may get superheated to some degree. Finally, it is passed through the superheater to obtain desired superheated steam. So and final condition is the superheater condition. There we are obtaining superheated steam. The Benson boiler is also known as light-weighted boiler, as there is a large water and steam. There is no large water drum and steam. This is a light-weighted boiler because of here there is a drum is absent in drum. For that purpose, it is called as a light-weighted boiler. So the thermal efficiency is up to 90%. The average operating pressure and the capacity of such boilers are 250 bar and 135 tons per hour. It can be started within 15 minutes. So I already explained, more than 225 bar we can call as a you can call as a supercritical boiler. So this will operate more than 225 bar. That's why it calls a supercritical boiler. So advantages of a Benson boiler. So these are the advantages. As usual, this initial cost of the boiler is very low because of there is no water and steam drum are provided. So steam drum is absent. For that purpose, the initial cost is very less compared to other boilers. Since there is no pressure limit, therefore supercritical pressure may be employed. So already initially the water will supply to the boiler in supercritical range. So for that purpose there is no limit of pressure here. So the high pressure avoids the bubbles formation in the tubes, which increase the heat transfer rate. So because here in Longmont boiler we have a bubble formation is a major problem criteria. here already the already high pressure, that is more than 225 bar of steam are supplied in terms of water. As a saturated steam is supplied to the boiler, then there is a absence of bubble formation. This will increase the heat transfer rate. For this purpose, the efficiency is also increases. So it's a lightweight boiler, as it says, and it will be started within 15 minutes. These are the main advantages of a Bunsen boiler. So students, today's session I have explained the high pressure boilers. In that we have a Lomond boiler, and then we have a Bunsen boiler. So you are already and have showed some videos. You have a clear picture about how these boilers are used nowadays in the power production in power plant. So let us take a glance. I have prepared one sample questions, multiple choice question for your reference. Let's take a first question. Water tube boilers produces steam at a pressure than that of fire tube boiler. Absolutely, water tube boilers are always produce steam at a higher pressure. That is the answer. That is a higher pressure. So Lomond boiler is a dash pressure water tube boiler. Water tube steam boiler working in a forced circulation. So it is a Lomond boiler is a high pressure water tube boiler anyway, working in a forced circulation. These are the answers of the question. So students, let's you all watch the video, and you are listen what I said, what I teach, and what I given the points regarding Bunsen boiler as well as Lomond boiler. So you please do the activities to visit nearest steam power plant and to prepare a detailed report on supercritical boilers and safety procedure followed, or else you just go through some YouTubes and you just know more about supercritical boilers, because nowadays the trend is supercritical boilers to produce high power. So earlier days we have a limited pressure boilers. There also we are producing 200 above megawatt powers, but nowadays the boilers are coming supercritical in nature. There's absence of a water tube and drum. So drum. For that purpose we can expect more than 800 megawatt, 1000 megawatt, 1500 megawatt. So for that purpose we have to visit a steam power plant to know about these supercritical boilers. Any question, please mail to maleshanaik@gmail.com. I have given some reference books for your reference. Please just go through these books and study once, and take a clarifications if you have any doubt, or you just mail to I have given in my mail ID. Also, please refer these books: Heat Engine by Pandya and Shah. We have Thermodynamics and Heat Power Engineering, Mathur and Mehta. Textbook of Thermal Engineering by R.S. Kurmi, Thermal Engineering P.L. Belloni, Thermal Engineering by Mahesh M. Rathore, McGraw-Hill Publications. These are the books are for your reference. Please just go through these books and you just understand in detail. Okay, thank you once again. I will meet you in next session for in different concept. Until then, thank you, goodbye, and stay safe, stay healthy.